Congratulations, Arsenal, for the competition trophy. We were close.
We lost 3 in a row. Do you know why? Because we won the Premier League.
This is the big one we've been waiting for.
We're the team to beat, but everybody else around us is getting better. What Arsenal have done in the summer makes them better.
You have to be ready.
Jack Grealish scores! Haaland! That could be that tonight! Looking for Foden! It's Haaland! Alvarez shooting position, 1-0 City! Knocker into the area, keeps on going and scores!
Pep is a genius. He's the master. But can the pupil beat him?
Yes, thank you. Welcome back to the Emirates Stadium. We have got the Manchester City team news to reveal to you. And in goal is the ever-present Ederson. The captain is Kyle Walker. Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake and Josko Vardiol make up the back four. Mateo Kovacic is...
Welcome to MatchDay Live. Thank you so much for joining us for the second part of our double header today. City take on Arsenal in the Premier League. It is a 4:30 kickoff today, and I am joined for the second part of our show again by David James and by Paul Dickov. I hope you got some air.
Yeah, I just stretched out on the sofa, had a little cup of coffee, ready to go again.
Lovely, thank you. And we are joined again by Kev. Can we have come back, Kev?
I have. You've allowed me back, I've got to say, after what happened before. So thank you very much.
We loved having you last time. We're so happy to have you back again as well. So we're going to go straight over to the Emirates because FG and Big Steve are pitch side.
Welcome to Matchday Live. Today is a very, very special day. We have got the heavyweights in the Premier League facing each other at the Emirates Stadium. My name's FG and I am pitchside with Manchester City's most famous fan, Big Steve. Steve, let's go ahead and let's talk about this fixture last year. We won the treble last season and this was a place where a fixture happened that we won't forget.
No, the pressure was on us last season. We came here, Arsenal were flying high, the media were ramping it up, telling us how good Arsenal was and that. I think a lot of people have written Manchester City off, but we came here, we got behind the team and the players delivered on the park. It was a fantastic performance, really good. It was indeed. Let's talk about our first goal. I know Blues watching all around the world will remember that Kevin De Bruyne, left-footed. I don't know how he does it, Steve. I mean, granted it was based on a mistake, but that finish, mate, I mean, come on. No, it was brilliant. I think Grealish put a lot of pressure on Tomiyasu. He made the mistake. Kevin latched onto it. And I was in the away end and it seemed to take an age to go in. It seemed to loop high in the air and we were just waiting and waiting and we were looking for a reaction and obviously it went in. It was a great finish. And I think there's only a handful of players in the world that can get away with that finish and Kevin De Bruyne's one of them. And it was lovely to see. And it was also lovely to see Big Steve all around the place when we scored that second goal. Saka got the equaliser. And then it was all about Jack Grealish. And then it was all about Big Steve in the away end, which I'm sure you guys can see right now. Talk me through the emotion, because the emotion, I was in the away end as well with you. We were all over the place, weren't we, Steve? Oh, it was brilliant. You know what? It was a massive game and it was so good. And I was on the front row. Usually I'm doing that, but I'm hidden away somewhere. But I was on the front row and then my phone started to light up. Steve, we've seen you on the TV and that. And I mean, it was a great finish from Jack. And yeah, you caught Big Steve in full emotion there. And then Mr. Inevitable with the third goal. It was a tough game for him, but give him one chance and he'll score. Yeah, I think he gave them the runaround all day. I think he was getting physical with the centre halves. I think he was doing a lot of running off the ball, creating space, and then he got his reward at the end. And like you say, you could see it in him with the celebration and that, what it meant to him and what it meant to the whole squad. And listen, Manchester came that night and we conquered. We did conquer, and hopefully we will have the similar results today. We'll be back pit side at some point with some special guests. Of course, Steve will be here too. We'll have team news from here. Let's go to the studio where Natalie is there with some guests.
Thanks so much there to FG and to Big Steve. Yes, they will be pitch side all afternoon. They'll be trying to grab any special guests that will talk to them. So we'll keep going back over to them and checking out what it's like at the Emirates today. So a 4:30 p.m. kickoff in the Premier League. We will bring you the team news as soon as we are allowed. Matchday Live is always the first place to get your team news. So, Kev, I'll come to you first. How are you feeling ahead of this big game?
I'm feeling okay. I know Arsenal have got it all to do. Manchester City of what they've done and what they stand for. Winning the treble last season. What is it they're trying to do? What is it, 4 in a row or 5 in a row?
4.
Who knows what it is? I mean, Manchester City are just so dominant. But if Arsenal are ever going to make a chink in their armour, you've got to win your home game against them. It's a difficult ask, and I'm feeling okay, but I know it's a tough ask.
Okay, Paul, how are you? Of course, that was a energetic women's game that we just watched. Have you come down from that game yet?
I'm knackered now after watching that before. I think now, but looking forward to it. 2 teams that went toe-to-toe last year. For me, still the best 2 teams in the country, and Arsenal are trying to bridge that gap. Signings they made in the summer might get them a little bit closer, but it's going to be interesting how both teams set up. And Arsenal last season really tried to press high up, and we've seen Pep do something that he hadn't done for a long time, and Ederson just kept going long to try and miss the press out and pick up second balls from there. So it's going to be a bit cagey, I think, the first 20 minutes to see what each team's going to do, and obviously we'll see the lineups in a minute or so, but I'm excited about it.
I mean, in terms of a player we definitely know isn't playing is Rodri. He serves the 3rd game of his suspension today. He's going to be a huge loss for us in this big game, David.
But I think what Paul said was quite interesting, because in the 2 Premier League games against Arsenal, they played that way. The one, ironically, at the Emirates was probably the worst of the 2, because the first half an hour was just so disjointed. Definitely not Man City's best game of football. For Arteta, he's going to have to say, what City am I going to be playing against, which is something that quite often teams don't need to do. And when you say Rodri being missing, if City decide to go more direct, the absence of Rodri won't be so acute, I don't think, depending on, because we haven't had the team lineups yet, depending on who comes in midfield. Yeah, I think, like Kev said, Arsenal have got it all to prove.
Oh, yes, David. I guess from an Arsenal point of view, Kev, you're happy that Rodri's not playing?
Oh, delighted. Look, no Kevin De Bruyne, no Rodri, but Manchester City squad is special. That's why they're treble winners. Again, Arsenal have got it all to do. Whoever comes in tends to play well. You're thinking to yourself, Manchester City haven't got a couple of results, and then in midweek they look back to being their best. So it's going to be a tough one for Arsenal for sure.
In terms of the psychological battle, Paul, we talked about it quite a lot last season. Of course, the amount of times we played Arsenal, and every one of those games was in key games and key moments of the season. Last season, we won all of the games that we played against Arsenal, and we talked about having that key psychological edge over them. Arsenal, of course, pipped us in the Community Shield, that competition that we kindly invited them to after we won everything. But they won it. They beat us, Paul. So does that give them a psychological... Are they tipping?
I don't think so. I think, Pep and Mikel will both be saying today that it's early in the season. We're only 8 games in, 9 games in, whatever it is. There's a long way to go. But I think if City can win this again psychologically, not for City, I think for Arsenal, that'll be a bigger blow, because people are looking, like I said before, they're looking for them to bridge that gap. I think Declan Rice has been a fantastic signing for them. That's made them better, it would make any team better. So I think if City can dominate today and get the 3 points, it'll definitely, I wouldn't say it would give City a psychological boost as to how good they are, because they know that. But I think it could dent Arsenal's confidence a little bit.
Well, it is time for that all-important Manchester City team news for today. We're going to go back over to FG at the Emirates to tell us who's in City's team today.
Yes, thank you. Welcome back to the Emirates Stadium. We have got the Manchester City team news to reveal to you. And in goal is the ever-present Ederson. The captain is Kyle Walker. Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake and Josko Vardiol make up the back 4. Mateo Kovacic is there, as is Rico Lewis, who impressed so much in the game at Leipzig. We have Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez and, of course, Erling Haaland. The substitutes for Manchester City today are Stefan Ortega, Calvin Phillips, John Stones, great to see him back, Jack Grealish, Jeremy Doku, Sergi Gomez, Manu Akanji, Mateus Nunes and Oscar Bob. Joining me pitchside is Big Steve. We've seen the team, mate.
Yep.
Let's talk about it in a nutshell. Let's talk about Rico Lewis first.
Yep.
18 years of age, a fantastic opportunity for him. Just like he had midweek against Leipzig, he really impressed, didn't he?
He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Give us bundles of energy in the middle of the park. He was popping up in between the lines in the little pockets. This kid's just unbelievable. You know, he's going from strength to strength, and the fact that Pep trusts him in a big game like this is his chance, and I'm really excited to see Rico in there today.
We are super excited, of course, to see Rico. Let's talk about the fact that he's only 18 years of age. He's stepping into the team, and it's like he's fearless. And is that because he's so young and he's so, it's so easy. We saw moments in the Leipzig game where they tried to, tackle him a little bit harder. He just gets up, he fights his corner, and he performed at the highest level, didn't he?
Listen, he's a Mancunian lad. He's living the dream. He's come through the academy. He's playing in the best team in the world, with the best coach in the world, and he believes in him. And if you can't be confident with someone like Pep Guardiola selecting you in massive games, then you never will. But he deserves to be there. He's, like I said before, he's a Mancunian through and through. We love that. He's one of our own, and he's brilliant.
It is so good to see our own players in the academy. Let's also move on and let's talk about Bernardo Silva, a man who feels like he's part of the furniture at Manchester City. We absolutely love him as fans, and so does Pep Guardiola. He spoke in the press conference about how important Bernardo was. I had a joke with Bernardo the other week, and he said, I played left back once, and he will do a job anywhere, and he is super important for this squad of players, isn't he?
Yeah, you need Bernardo Silva in your squad. If there's ever a position where, we're struggling, he fits in there. He brings us bundles and bundles of energy. In a game like this today, where the midfield battle's going to be key without Rodri, Bernardo Silva, we need him in there. And like you say, with Rico Lewis in there as well, Bernardo just in and around him, that gives us a lot of energy in there. And I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think it is going to be Bernardo in the midfield then? Because we've obviously got Foden who can step in there. We've seen Julian Alvarez playing there as well. You never know with Pep.
You never know.
The beauty of the team. But I mean, it would make more sense for maybe Bernardo to sit aside Kovacic and let Rico also be the energy, or...
I definitely think Pep's got something up his sleeve. I mean, you look at the team now, and it's never straightforward. But you might see him occupy a couple of positions throughout the game. He maybe pop up on the right. He maybe go a little bit deeper. He maybe go a bit further forward if we need it. But Bernardo Silva in the City team, I think all the Manchester City fans will be smiling today.
They absolutely will. And let's talk about the man who's replacing Rodri. Of course, Rodri misses this game through suspension. It's his last game serving the suspension. We could probably do with him here today, but Pep and City have done this before when we've not had Rodri. City fans, you might remember the Manchester derby last season.
Yep.
If I'm right, we played Ilkay Gundogan, who is now obviously being replaced by Kovacic, sort of in a like for like, maybe without the goals, and he did really well in that game, and that went well.
Yep.
Do you think Pep's thinking's the same? We've got a good ball player, he's got a lot of experience, he seems very, very calm, and he can also carry the ball.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Kovacic, with his experience, obviously people forget, the trophies he's won, the clubs he's played for in his career. He's a little bit of an older, wiser head. He's different to Rodri, but he's calm under pressure. If he's getting pressed into tight spaces, he can turn out and play with the ball, exactly what we need. And I think he was rested the last game, so Kovacic will be fresh, ready to go. And let's do it.
Let's talk about the back four real quick. I love the let's do it, by the way. This is why we have Big Steve.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
We absolutely love it. Right, okay. So let's do it. And let's talk about our back four. That is a strong back four. Do you think it's going to be Ake at left back or Josko at left back? Or is it another case of Pep's got his idea and we just don't know what to predict?
We don't know. I'd like to think maybe Nathan will play left back. I think Saka's going to play for them, and I think Nathan did a really good job on him last season. But I think Josko is growing from strength to strength. Your guy, he's fantastic. And the other night in Leipzig as well, he was coming into midfield with the ball. He was carrying it. He was tracking back with pace. He was aggressive in the tackle. And I think we've got a real defender on our hands in Josko.
You know what, right? When it's a big game, let me just tell you, sitting next to Big Steve or standing with Big Steve makes my life and my heart rate go that little bit less. We're not worried about today, are we, Steve?
No. This is what you live for. This is what, when you get that feeling in your chest, you're at a big stadium like this, it's unbelievable, and I just can't wait for the game to get going now.
That feeling in your chest. Right, listen, we're going to head back to the studio. Thank you for joining me pitchside for this. I'll be back with the team news for Arsenal soon. Let's head back to the studio. I understand there's a wild Paul Dickov in the studio today. Hello, Paul, you legend.
Thanks, FG. Thank you, Big Steve. There is a wild Paul Dickov in the studio today. And Paul Dickov is my Big Steve because whenever I'm with you when I'm nervous, you always calm me down. So I'll come straight to you, Paul, because I am getting a little bit nervous about this game. City starting 11, is that what you were expecting?
A little bit surprised, but delighted that Rico's stayed in there, and I think his performance the other night there against Leipzig's probably cemented that in, because I thought he would have went maybe Bernardo in the middle with Kovacic. I mean, still don't know Bernardo's playing where he's going with Alvarez in the 10 role, where he's been fantastic. And I thought Jack might have played purely because he's been so good in the big games for us, especially away from home. You know, getting us up the pitch, winning fouls. Defensively, he's been great as well. So a little bit surprised, but I'm delighted for Rico because, you know, an 18-year-old kid coming through the academy, biggest game of the season so far, and he's got the trust of Pep. Not just Pep, and you guys know he's got the trust of the players, and that's huge as a young guy going in. You know, and he plays with so much confidence. He's so relaxed, but I think that comes with knowing that everybody that's in and around him trusts him as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Perhaps a surprise, but also perhaps not if you watch the Champions League game midweek, because he was so phenomenal in that game midweek. David, do you think that he literally has played himself into the team today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a combination of influences on it with lack of selection options, but you can play yourself into Pep's teams. I think, and I'm just like everybody trying to work out what style we're going to see from City, because as the guys were talking there in the stadium, this could set itself up nicely for a back four. A pretty strict back four like they did last season. The key players to watch out, obviously Odegaard is their kind of go-to man, and the one thing that City did so well last season was keeping him quiet. So does Rico, with his energy and his vision, just sort of take care of Odegaard and try and stop these things? Loads of plots. But yeah, you can play yourself into a team just as quickly as you can play yourself out. I think Pep has demonstrated that on a number of occasions.
It feels like as though Rico's becoming more and more of a midfielder. Do you think that we will still see Rico Lewis as a defender?
No. I just love, and the one thing about last season, especially I think even the bits at the beginning of this season, the fact that Pep was able to change the way that was a very standard style of play into something that was capable of beating Arsenal comfortably. Might have been ugly, but in the end comfortably twice. This season again changing things around. Then Rico Lewis is just a player who fits whatever recipe Pep is putting forward. If he has to do a bit of defending or a bit of attacking, a bit of midfield play, he's capable of doing it. And we are talking about a very talented young player.
Unbelievably intelligent.
But he's old now. He's 18, isn't he? I mean, he was 17 last season. That was young.
Yeah, he's old now. Yeah, he's a regular. In terms of the rest of that City team, Kev, Bernardo Silva came back from injury midweek, which was a delight for City fans. He's been a phenomenal player for us, and his work levels, his energy levels is exactly what City are going to need in this game today.
He's another special player. The talent level at Manchester City is the best in the world. Let's be real. The fact of the matter is Bernardo Silva's back fit, I think, negates potentially, you know, De Bruyne not being there and a bit of Rodri, because what happens, he takes onus, he takes charge of the ball and he starts to dictate, and if Arsenal let him dictate, they're in for a long day. Arsenal have to make sure he doesn't dictate against them, because if he does, Arsenal are not winning this game.
You mentioned a little earlier, Paul, about where they're going to be playing. As I look at the team, and again, we often do this, where you think Bernardo's going to be out wide?
I do, but I've tried to guess Pep's formations every time we do this show, and I've not got a clue what's going on.
Paul.
I know. I just think I can't see, and yeah, again, it'll probably happen now. I can't see Julian Alvarez not playing in that 10 role where he's been so effective for us this season. And Rico, I would imagine, is going to play in there with Kovacic, so that leaves the space on the left-hand side, Phil on the right, and obviously Big Erling through the middle. But you never know.
Would you be surprised if they switch mid-half?
It wouldn't surprise me if they do it, because you can see the rotation 4 or 5 times within what Pep wants to do. You know, all the players are comfortable going into different positions and what they do, and we've seen that. You know, sometimes it goes into a back 3. I agree with David, though. I do think it'll be away from home at Arsenal. I think it'll be a back 4.
Solid 4.
Yeah, a solid back 4 to play, and then obviously the other 6 in front of them can rotate and go where they want because they're that talented.
Of course, sitting behind that back 4 is Ederson, who makes his 300th appearance for City today.
300?
That's gone fast, hasn't it?
Yeah. Wow.
300 appearances, yeah. He's still remains heart pulsing for me a lot of the time, but after 300 games, I definitely have managed to get some trust in the man, David.
300, well, that's surprising. The one thing I would say, I mean, it's interesting, and I did touch upon this in the previous show with the women's game, that I've just started my goalkeeping coaching licence, and when you look at what people want in goalkeepers, Edison doesn't fit any mould in a very positive way. We all know about his ball playing, and I think the key to, again, keeping it in line with the Arsenal game, the key to last season's performances in the Premier League were his distribution. And it wasn't that he could kick it further than anyone else, it was just the accuracy, hitting into the halfway line with Erling Haaland. And 300. Oh, by the way, I knew when I pulled up in a car park, I saw his car. That means City win.
Okay.
Not superstitious like Bunny with the one glove on, but if I see Eddie's car, then it's all good.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He's up. Yes, okay. Great. We're going to win. Just pull the game off. Yes. Kev's good. He saw the car. My 6-year-old's the goalkeeper, as I've told you many times. Edison is his favourite player, and my 6-year-old now describes himself as an attacking goalkeeper. So
I can't write that down when I actually have to do my test.
That is his influence. Also, looking at the team, Julian Alvarez comes back into the starting 11 today after he was on the bench midweek. We can give you some exclusive, exciting news, as we do on Matchday Live. You know we like to drop the bombs here now and again. Well, we can tell you that Julian Alvarez has been named the Etihad Player of the Month for September. Congratulations to him. I mean, no wonder, it was an incredible month. He got 4 goals and an assist there. Congratulations to Julian Alvarez. I'll go over to the striking couch to have a chat about him. I mean, player of the month for September, Paul. For me, he's player of the season so far. He's having a phenomenal time so far.
He has, and you think, 22, 23 years old, and what he's achieved already, got the treble, World Cup winner. And I think the thing that surprised everybody this season is seeing here his set pieces. You know, not just free kicks outside the box, his delivery from wide areas, corners. He's been devastating, and everybody's buzzing for him in the club because he's such a good guy off the pitch, so humble, World Cup winner. And he was a big reason to win the World Cup as well, because he came into that team after Argentina were struggling and done a lot of the running, a lot of the work for Messi. Yeah. And now, look, we're seeing him in a slightly different role, but I think it suits him. You know, his chances as playing as a number 9 are going to be limited because we've got one of the best goal scorers in the world up there. So he's put him in that number 10 role. He can drop off deep, he can assist, as you're saying there, but he's also a real goal threat from outside the box. He'll shoot from anywhere, right foot, left foot. I think
Dickie's grown as well, hasn't he? He's grown as a player.
Yeah.
The player that came in last season, who at times was on the bench, who would come off the bench to make an impact. Now he's starting games and he's making a real difference. Haaland, we always know what Haaland is going to give you, but you always look for who's going to be the second guy. No KDB, to help out. Who's going to be the guy who's going to pick up the slack? This guy's been phenomenal. And he's worked great without the ball as well. You know, as soon as it breaks down, we know Pep's teams like to win the ball high up. He's the first one that goes and triggers that press. You do not want to play against him, do you? No. I mean, he's everywhere. The ball just disappears in the midfield, the opposition think they got it, and all of a sudden he's on your back. Yeah. Harrying around. I mean, it's fantastic. I think as well, which is interesting, the relationship with him and Haaland. But even though I did see Erling had a shot from outside the box the other day, which totally surprised me, is Haaland's a box player, and as you said, both of you said, Alvarez can shoot from distance, not just from set plays. And I think when you've got that relationship and sort of role responsibility, it just enhances everything. So thoroughly deserved. Yeah, and I genuinely believe he's one of the first names in the team sheet, especially in these big games now.
Yeah, absolutely. When we've needed him in a couple of the games, the Wolves game, stepping up with that free kick, the game midweek. I mean, that free kick in itself, Kev, I mean, from your experience, he made that look easy, but that was not, right? He did, and normally I'd be in the wall looking over looking at the ball going over my head, and I mean, it was incredible. He's got talent, but he's showing his talent. Yeah. And for somebody so young, as Paul said, what is he, 22, 23 years old? Taking charge of a treble-winning team like he is now, obviously winning Player of the Month, he deserves it, thoroughly deserves it.
It's as if he wants to be the main man. You know, he's looked at KDB being out and thought, I've got a real opportunity in this position now, so I'm going to show them, and I want to be up there with one of the best. Yeah, indeed. Do you think the fact that KDB's injury, obviously picked it up so early in the season, has benefited him then, has given him an opportunity to shine? Yeah, I think in a way you've got to say that, you know, because I do believe also that Pep would have found a way to play him this season in the team because he thinks so highly of him. But obviously with Kevin being out now till Christmas, sometimes you get fortuitous and you get that opportunity, but you've got to take it. You know, when you get in the team, you've got to go in there and show, and especially a team like Manchester City, that you're one of the main men. You're one of the men that you can be trusted and believe in the big games to go and do it, and that's what he's doing.
Of course, he's nominated for the Ballon d'Or as well, you know. World Cup, Champions League, Ballon d'Or nomination. The sky is the limit for Julian Alvarez. He starts today. As always, if you would like to ask our guests a question, you can do so. The WhatsApp number is on your screen right now. Get your questions in and I'll get through as many as I can. You always ask some crackers. You know I love them. So get your WhatsApp questions in now and I'll get through them with the gents as soon as I can. Before that, though, we need to give you the Arsenal team news. So we're going to head back over to the Emirates to FG.
Yes, welcome back to the Emirates pitch side. I have got the Arsenal team news for today's game. In goal is Raya. Defence is Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko. Jorginho, Declan Rice, Odegaard, Trossard, Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus. Pitch side is the Arsenal hype man. Talk to me, right, about this team.
It's good, man.
No Bukayo Saka.
Yes, unfortunately, he couldn't shake off the injury, of course, that happened at Lens, which is unfortunate because, he's our spark. But listen, I've got faith in the boys. They're gonna do their business. So that's the reason why we've got a squad, right? So why we've got backups for people to get back in the squad, slot in there when players can't make it. Why are you laughing? You're laughing like
every single year. This man gets more and more energy. Look, fantastic season last year. This club is definitely going in the right direction under Arteta. Let's talk about the man who came from Manchester City, Gabriel Jesus.
Yes.
Look, we love him. We absolutely love him. City fans love him, and I know you guys love him. Talk to me about how he's done.
He must have been gutted when he left. Like the way he just energizes our team, the way he presses from the front, and like even drives other players, to raise their level. It's absolutely amazing. Like I've had the pleasure of seeing him in training as well, and you just see like the champion qualities in him. So we absolutely love him here, and hopefully he can score one against you lot. I'll pray for that.
We'll cut that bit out anyway. Let's talk about the goalkeeper, a man who's going to maybe potentially have his work cut out today, but he is obviously recently taken, I'd say, the number one spot now instead of Ramsdale, or is it still a case of...
You know what, I feel like with Arteta, he's always leaves the door open. It's not set in stone that Ray is number one. It's not set in stone that Aaron's is number one. He just feels like different keepers are suited for different games. So he feels like Ray is suited for this game. Listen, we got to back him. We got to back the coach, and I'm always going to be behind him. So hopefully Ray can prove us right, and keep a clean sheet.
Looking at that team, is there any element of surprise? I mean, I see Jorginho in there, maybe a bit of a surprise. He's got a lot of experience. He's done it on the big stage. England fans will, of course, know. I'm sorry for bringing that up, guys. It hurts me as well. Is he in for his experience, do you think?
I think he's definitely in for his experience, and obviously, I feel like Partey might have been a bit too early for Partey. But listen, Jorginho, he's been there, he's done it, he knows what to do. So having him in there, I don't have any worries, and hopefully he can shut you guys out. We can hopefully do the business. Mate, I'm so gassed. Whenever you come here, I'm always gassed because I want to one day want you to leave here upset. It's going to happen one day. It's going to happen.
Listen, I actually went looking for him pit side.
Nah, you won't find him.
On 3 occasions last season. I didn't find him once.
Yeah, I need to go to the toilet.
I wish you all the best today. We wish you all the best. It's always great to chat to you, mate. Hopefully we can catch up again at some point.
Yeah, I need to come to see. You've been here twice
You're always welcome, mate. Yeah? You're always welcome.
Okay,
the result doesn't normally go in your favour at the Etihad, and we hope it doesn't anyway. Come on, City. Let's go back to the studio.
Oh, man.
Thanks so much to FG and to Frimpong there. So that is the Arsenal team news for today. The big immediate standout news for me there, Kev, is that Saka is not in the team. He's not on the bench, of course. So we kind of thought midweek, but then Mikel kind of said in his press conference, we might be in contention. Was that just mind games?
No, I don't think it was. I think they were giving him every opportunity to try and declare himself fit, but obviously it weren't to be. That's why you have a squad, and you've got to adjust accordingly. But a player like that, you give him every chance.
He's been phenomenal against us in the last few games as well, in terms of you being happy Rodri's out. Obviously never want a player to be injured, but I'm happy that he's not playing today. How will Arsenal play without him? Who will fill that role?
Well, I think Gabriel Jesus will move wide on the right-hand side, and Eddie Nketiah will come in through the middle. And you've seen Jorginho's come into midfield with Declan Rice. So I think Declan Rice might play more as a box-to-box midfielder, giving more energy further up the pitch, trying to break things up further up the pitch. Obviously, no Jorginho to take care of the ball. So if he can upset the rhythm of Manchester City. I think that's what he'll be there for. But the key person is going to be Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah needs to have a big game. If Arsenal are going to do anything in this game, Eddie Nketiah needs to perform.
It's no disrespect to Eddie Nketiah either. When you're looking at the Arsenal team sheet, I wouldn't have expected you to say that he would be such a key part. What's making you sort of put you thinking there?
Well, because he's a number 9. And anybody who's going to be number 9 against this back 4 of Manchester City, champions, Champions League winners, FA Cup winners, they're solid, they're quality. You have to affect them in some way. And how you affect them is going to tell whether Arsenal have a decent game. If you don't affect them, then Arsenal are going to be in problems because things are just going to keep breaking down.
It's holding the ball up, isn't it?
It's so important.
Yeah, if you're at number 9, especially playing against Man City, when the ball goes into you, you've got to make it stick. It just can't keep coming back, because City at some point will end up grinding you down. And then Nketiah, he wants to go in behind a lot, doesn't he? But I think what Kevin's saying is bang on there, is that number 9. When it goes into him, he has to make sure it sticks and let people get up and in around him to give Arsenal any chance. Yeah.
In terms of other Arsenal players, you mentioned Declan Rice a little bit earlier. Here, Kev, they're saying he thinks that he might play more box-to-box today. For Declan Rice, do you think that he is perhaps the missing piece for Arsenal to take them to that next level?
Yeah, I do. I think he's a top player. There's, I think any club in the summer would have wanted to have tried and signed him, and Arsenal went all out because Mikel knows that maybe as a defensive midfielder was what was missing. But I think as the years go on, as Kev said there, I think you'll see Declan play further up the pitch, because he's got so much energy and he's got a lot of quality in the ball that he doesn't get a lot of credit. People see him as just a sitting midfielder, break things up and give it. He can go past player, he can break lines, he can pass it, in and around the box. He can finish as well. So I think maybe Jorginho coming in today to sit in front of the back 4 is going to allow Declan a bit more freedom with the ball, but also Kev's bang on, to go and press and use that energy further up the pitch.
So, as well as bringing in Rice in the summer, they also brought in a new goalkeeper, David, which... Sorry, you're not a one-trick pony, by the way, that can only talk about goalkeeping things, but you seem like... Yes, you seem like, the correct person to come to first. I thought Ramsdale had a great season last year, and I thought Raya was great at Brentford as well. I had him in my fantasy football team for most of the season. I was surprised when he went to Arsenal. What have you made of the goalkeeper battle?
Well, first of all, I think it's fair. I mean, Raya has had a number of good seasons. I mean, one good season wouldn't, I'm sure, be enough for Arteta to take him. He's been one of the top keepers in the Premier League for a few years now. My concern, I don't think Ramsdale was at his best last season. And therefore, I think he was actually performing less than he was in the previously. So the question is, was he going to continue on that downward spiral? However, I just think the way that things seem to have been handled wasn't great. And I have to mention City's lineup. Why Jack Grealish isn't starting? Because Raya gets himself in really bad positions, which is just asking for someone to chip it far post, Haaland score goals. That might happen in the second half. I would love to play against David Raya. If I had the quality of Man City, I would expose him and, yeah.
So if you were playing up front again, you'd want to be playing...
David Raya could lie on the floor and I'd miss a target. That bit doesn't have to be addressed in detail right now, but David Raya is a good... midweek in the Champions League. If he was brought in for his foot playing ability, well, he cost a goal, which in turn cost them the win or the first defeat of the season. Interestingly, when it comes to possession, one team at the Emirates outpossessed Arsenal. That was Tottenham in a 2-2 draw. Again, that was a game where, when I was looking at David Raya as his goalkeeping positioning, there were flaws. So with regards to that, I don't think it's set in stone, as FG was saying. I don't think it's set in stone that he is the out-and-out number 1. And hopefully Arteta will have to make some tough decisions after today's game. He even mentioned in an interview that he would be prepared to substitute a goalkeeper during a game.
Oh, I just think that's weird. I just feel like that'll be weird.
He's just pulled it. He's messing around.
You think?
Yeah, he's. That was one for the media.
He's deflected, isn't he?
Yeah, big time. He said this before he signed Raya.
Did he?
He did.
Okay. He was he was teeing us up. Other interesting in the lineup, there's so many interesting things in the lineup today. 2 former City players line up against us. Jesus and Zinchenko, of course, were sent with much love from City. 2 players that the fans really liked. How did they do last year? How are they doing this year? Are they going to get us today?
Well, look, we took them with open arms. I've got to tell you that. We took them with open arms. Helped the team do so well last season. Just couldn't get over the line, which can happen against you guys. But these two characters, not only for their talent, but for the characters, they're special players. They're special talent. They've got a great mindset, and they've helped Arsenal a lot. Helped a young group bridge a lot of the gap. And for Arsenal to even be in the talk of challenging for a Premier League, you would never have thought that from before. But they've come in, they've made a difference. To take City on, obviously, you need a bit more, hence why spending over £200 million to try and bring in more talent and more character. But Jesus and Zinchenko are special. Will they get Manchester City? I hope they do, but it is a big ask. It's all there for Arsenal to do. Manchester City, we know what Manchester City are going to do. It's what Arsenal turn up today.
He's playing it down, isn't he? He's luring us into a
No, I'm not. The truth of the matter is, I'm not. If Saka was there, I could speak a bit firmer. But Saka is a big catalyst for Arsenal, really is. And Jesus being on the right, Eddie through the middle, I'm not convinced that beats City, if I'm honest.
Can I just say one thing about Zinchenko?
Yes.
And I remember going back a couple of seasons when the game against Villa at the Etihad, Villa scored the first goal. Zinchenko was in the dugout, and he stood up and started cheering the fans up. And the noise just spread around the whole of the Etihad. And I saw him, I played in a charity match recently, and I said, I remember you doing that. And he went, did you notice? And it was, I love him.
He's a man that plays with his heart for
I love him, yeah. What a guy.
We're going to go back over to the Emirates now. I told you that FG was going to try and find some very special guests while he was there. Well, he's gone and found a man that played for both Arsenal and City. What a wonderful man. We've had him as a guest here on Matchday Live. FG's found Kolo Touré.
Welcome back to Pitside at the Emirates. Now, me and Big Steve are absolutely buzzing because look who's joining us. It's Kolo Touré. Kolo, thank you for joining us. Pitside, big game today. You've represented both sides.
Yeah.
Both sets of fans absolutely love you. How do you see the game going?
It's going to be a tough game. I can see both teams will be overly tactical because I know that Pep doesn't want to lose that game, and Arteta is feeling that this is a great moment to try to beat Arsenal, and I think it's going to be a game that we will see two teams who are going to try to make sure they don't lose it, and that's my feeling of this game.
Do you think it's going to be, Big Steve, I'll come to you on this one as well, do you think it's going to be a case of both teams trying not to lose like Kolo said?
I think Arsenal's got to try and win. I think the last few seasons Manchester City are getting the better of Arsenal. Arsenal are right up there now in the title race last season with Manchester City, and I think psychologically Arsenal have got to press and try and get the result, especially at home.
Absolutely. I need to ask you, Kolo, as well. Rodri's not playing for Manchester City today. Yeah. When you're playing in the back four, if you're missing the guy who looks after you in front, how difficult can that be?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. He's been a key figure of the team. He's been a player who I think he's the glue, I will say. He's the guy who always won the ball. He's the guy who, when they lose the ball, he's always reading the game very, very well to anticipate and win the ball back. And he's been very regular in the team. And when you have a player who always play and he's not there, sometimes it can be disturbing for the team, for the attacking side and for the defenders as well. But I'm sure Pep will come with some ideas there. He's a genius. He's a very intelligent manager. He's a guy who has amazing experience. He knows his guy. He knows his boy, I will say, because Arteta is a really good friend, and I'm sure that he's going to resolve that situation definitely.
Absolutely. I also want to touch on William Saliba real quick. He obviously missed a few games for Arsenal last season. As a centre-half, if your centre-back partner or the man who makes that back four just sort of glue, if he's not playing, does that make it even more difficult for the back four? And how important is he to this Arsenal side?
I think, in the game that, when you have a player that is really regular and is playing game after game and is performing really, really well, when he's missing, the team can feel that, because the game, in the game you create some connection with players. and it became automatic. And when that player is not there, you can really feel it's not the same. And it takes few games, to find that connection between the players. And of course, he's been really good, Saliba, I will say. For Arsenal, he's been a key player as well, I will say. And last season, he missed to Arsenal a lot, at the end of the season. But I think he's back today, and he'll be playing, and they'll be fine, I think.
Super important. Colo, it's been an absolute pleasure. I don't know if you heard, Steve, but Pep actually said the difference between him and Arteta was that Pep dresses better than Arteta. I feel like the same sort of thing goes here, because we obviously didn't get the memo and Colo looks great. Thanks for joining us on MatchDay Live. Let's head back to the studio.
Colo Touré well and truly showing up, Big Steve and FG there. But thank you so much to Colo Touré. What a pleasure. What a lovely man to see him there. Of course, he was a guest on MatchDay Live as well. So we are less than half an hour away from today's 4:30 kickoff in the Premier League. City taking on Arsenal. Of course, you'll get your full match commentary on the City app with Alistair Mann for today's game. You can see the City starting 11 as well on the bottom of your screen if you are just joining us. Now, you'll know all about the trophy tour, I am sure, the treble trophy tour by now. It is presented by OKX, and our quartet of cups were brought to our City football schools in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And to make the activation even more special for those in attendance, Jolie Leicester went to meet them all. Look at him there, loving it, having the time of his life, and he was answering questions to some of the City football schools' children. Then they got a chance to have pictures with him, and he went to the NBA and fanboyed himself on Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo. I love that. Have you ever asked to have a picture with somebody that you admire, like Ronaldo?
Someone like Ronaldo?
Yes, or anybody, any sports star. We've got Jolie in there, absolute selfie it.
Well, I don't know if everyone knows him. Forrest, I want to say, what's his surname? No, Forrest Griffin sounds like the name. UFC fighter. Oh. Yeah, I used to be into UFC fighting.
You're a big fan then?
And I was at the hotel, I was at the Lowry in Manchester when I was playing in the Premier League, and he was sat there in the hotel, and I had to put my coffee down and shake his hand, and he was like, hi. And then I walked back to my room and there's a little glow about me.
I love that. Jolien's out on the trophy tour, Paul. I know you're a big fan of the trophy tour. I imagine there's a little ping of jealousy there that Jolien's out there currently, because you love them.
That's got to be spread around a little bit. Yeah, I'm not complaining. I've got Dubai next week and then Argentina next month, so I'll take that one.
Argentina with the trophies.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. I don't think Pablo and Sergio obviously weren't available because they've asked me to do that one, but I'm not complaining. Always been in my bucket list, so yeah, nice little trip to Buenos Aires.
The fans, I imagine they'll go nuts out there.
Once they find out who I am,
they'll know.
We'll have to Google me first to find out.
Just tell him you're Julio Alvarez's best mate.
Yeah, I will.
Yes. Go in a Spider-Man outfit, you'll be all right. Thank you for sending us in your WhatsApp questions as always. Right, we're going to try and get through as many as we can. Samaya says, hey Natalie, hey, a question for Paul. Last time we came to the Emirates, our midfield consisted of Gundo, KDB and Rodri. We'll be without all three of those players this time around. How will that affect us, do you think? Also, pleasure to be speaking to a City legend.
I think if you're going to be missing KDB and Rodri especially, look, Gundo's gone, we all loved him, you can't sort of put him in that bracket, but any team in the world is going to miss two players like that. But as we spoke about before, Kovacic, people forget he's a 4-time Champions League winner and a top player, played for Inter Milan, Real Madrid. So the experience he's got in there, especially with Rico, the experience will help him out. And Rico the other night, it was great. And, Pep keeps evolving his teams anyway. So whether, if Kevin and Rodri were fit, they would have played today without a shadow of a doubt. But we've evolved a little bit how we've played this season, even from last season already. So yes, you're going to miss them, but I still look at that and it's not a weakened team, is it? It's still a strong team that's out there.
Lovely. Thank you very much for the question. Right, Sam's up next. Sam has asked, do City have the best two strikers in the league with Haaland and Alvarez? Let's go to Kevin.
Yeah, I would say so. I think they're the most lethal and most dangerous right now. Obviously, I haven't got all the the supply line there just yet, because Kevin De Bruyne needs to be back for that. But they're making a big fist of it at the moment, and Arsenal are in trouble today if they don't keep an eye on them.
Like that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sam. Okay, Griff has asked, okay, Griff, hold on a minute. We're going on to VAR, are we? We were desperately trying to it's the word I'm looking for. We're desperately trying to avoid that, yes.
Avoid that.
Especially after the women's game as well. So, Griff has asked, we'll get all your opinions, would it be better to give the football team power to use VAR? Each team could use it twice per half if they feel the referee has made a wrong decision. From Griff in Manchester.
Well, I think the problem with VAR is human beings, so there's always going to be a problem. And if VAR isn't perfect, then limiting the times it's used to make it even more perfect, then it wouldn't matter. If there is going to be an error, and I'm sure there will be in the future, then again, limiting the amount of times it's used or called for. It's an interesting, almost like a flag in American football. When the coach can chuck a flag in. I mean, that's just a different way of using it. But the way that it is actually conducted is still going to be subject to humans, which keeps things entertaining.
And is that what we're calling it? Yes.
It's a euphemism. It's a euphemism for something else.
What do you think, Kevin?
I don't think you could restrict it, because if there was a game full of incidents and you only had 2 challenges and you probably could have got 4 challenges in, what happens then? You know, it's... I just think the challenges don't work. I think VAR don't work because of the people at the moment, so they've just got to get it right.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you know what? Slightly different subject. I loved the Carabao Cup games a couple of weeks ago where there was no VAR. And afterwards, nobody was really talking about should they have done this, should they have done that. The players accepted it on the pitch. They just got on with it. Like, obviously, I'm old man now, I'm a lot older, old school like it was, because if you know it's not there, you've got to get on with it. And I thought, even though we lost the Newcastle game, I loved the fact that there was no VAR in it.
Yeah,
so bin it.
I feel like that way when I watch the Football League. Quite happy that it's not there. Okay, final question for now has come from Jay, and Jay says, I'd like to see Grealish in a CM role to see what he could do. What do you think? And I've actually heard a few City fans recently online saying they'd like to see Jack play in the centre. No,
I think the way that Jack plays, he basically faces all his opponent in one side, and he can draw them in and get past them. I think if he's in that CDM role, then he's going to have to position himself differently. He's going to be challenged from different sides, maybe draw fouls granted. I think he's more effective on the left, as we should see in the second half when he's crossing for Erling's winning header.
Because Raya can't handle it.
Of course.
Hey, I like it. Prediction. Kevin, do you think Jack Grealish in a central midfield position?
I think he could play there. Not necessarily centre, but from a number 10 attacking position. I think he could do it. Would it happen in this City side? Maybe if they're flexible. Later on, maybe in his career. A few years' time.
When he slows down, you mean?
Yeah, when he slows down a little bit. But that energy he's got and that power, because he gets back as well. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's up and down that left-hand side. At the moment, he won't do it. When he gets maybe a bit further on in his career, he could move inside and adapt.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he could play it. He's that talented and that comfortable on the ball, and he's clever in picking up. Even when you see him on the left, he comes inside and picks up little pockets and makes it difficult for him to pick up. But I think that's came from, one, KDB being out of the question, and two, a lot of my mates are City fans and are saying, "Oh, Kevin's out, we need to put Jack in there. Did you see him when he was at Villa?" But at Villa, he had a free role. You know, he could go where he wanted, and he used to cause so much problems for other teams. But the other 9 players, they would cover for him. You know, and there's a completely different structure in how Pep wants to play here. And I'm sure he'd be effective with it, but would it upset the team in the way Pep wants to play? I don't know.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your questions. I'll try and get through some more later, so do keep them coming through. So we're going to head back to the Emirates now, as FG has found Michael Brown.
Yes, welcome back to Pitside at the Emirates. And look who's joining me, a man that we've been on holiday this week, Brownie, to Leipzig, haven't we?
Well, pretty much. It was a nice few days, wasn't it? Nice to be away, nice to see a bit of football, new surroundings, but the sun shines here at the Emirates.
He also maybe do a lot of exercise. We're not doing that today, but we are talking about the big game today. We've seen both teams. Any surprises from the outset?
I think there's surprises everywhere, isn't there? From an Arsenal perspective, no Saka. That's a key talking point around the Emirates Stadium. He's been there shining light. Jorginho coming back in. He's had mixed fortunes here, so interesting change around. Obviously, from a City perspective, Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, they'll be looking to do well. From a City point of view, who's going to play the 6? Rico Lewis, Kovacic, and obviously Jack Grealish has not made it in those wider areas as well. So we're going to see a different change from Pep Guardiola in those sort of front 3 positions we'll soon see.
Is it a bit of a surprise that Jack isn't in it, especially for a game like today? Because I know he's super important on keeping the ball and he draws fouls, etc. It's a bit of a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah, he'd be disappointed. He wants to play every game. We know what he brings, but as well, it's a squad game. You've played in the week. Something tactically we might see slightly different from Phil Foden, from Bernardo Silva. They've got so much flexibility, FG, that they can play in different positions. Rico Lewis, Alvarez, again, Kovacic has tried that role as a 6, so will he play as a natural 6 or will he be a little bit more advanced?
Phil Foden was excellent in Germany, wasn't he? We were speaking about it a lot. We had the pleasure, like I said before, of being there. You know, watching the game next to this, man, the insight is next level, just like everyone in the studio.
I'll give you a little tip for that. Thanks very much. Yeah, Pikey's he's a professional now, Pikey. But do you know, when you listen, you talk about Phil Foden, Pep Guardiola this week has said he might see him as a 6. So we've now seen wide areas, 10s, 8s, and now a possible 6 at some point. He's got everything, hasn't he, Phil Foden?
He's got all the attributes, hasn't he, to harm this team as well. Where do you think he's going to play in the system, Brownie?
Well, do you know what? We've talked so much about how good he's been coming in off that right-hand side, coming in like a 10 position, joining Alvarez, getting on the half-turn, getting forward. Leipzig, we've seen him start inside, getting in some great positions in the box. So going forward, I personally think when it's the right time, those central areas he can be really clinical, and that might be a one for the future.
We've got some absolute legends in the studio. Have you got a message for anyone? I mean, what about Natalie? Natalie's obviously
I thought you said we've got some legends, and then you asked me about Natalie.
I just called you a legend, Natalie, as well, right? So what we'll do, there is some legends in the studio, and Natalie is one of them. Let's head back to Natalie. You can accept that?
FG, you watch out, my friend. Although I appreciate that. Thank you to FG and to Michael Brown, who are pitch side at the Emirates. So this is our second matchday live of the day. We're having an incredible football day here because a little bit earlier on, the women's team played Chelsea here at the Joy Stadium. It was a 1-1 draw. It was an insane game. I feel like it's the best way to describe it, but a heroic performance from City, especially towards the end of the game. Now, just recently come out this weekend on City Plus is our new documentary, Rise. It's all about the women's team. Cameras followed them round last season. It's wonderful. You get some really lovely little insights into the team. Here's a little sneak preview for you about why Steph and Bunny share gloves.
I'm just going to say that it's probably from me that Bunny's scored all these goals, and she's nearly at 30 goals in a season.
I woun't say it's a superstition. I just said that it happened and we didn't realise it was happening.
I think we had training and it was absolutely freezing in Manchester. Bunny doesn't like the cold, and
it was a case where there was only one pair of gloves left, and Steph ran out with both, and I was like, okay, just let's share one then.
I had my gloves on. She was like, oh, Steph, can I borrow a glove? So
then we had a really good game, so we kept on wearing it.
It kind of just became a thing. So every match day now, it's just superstition that we wear one glove each. I don't know whether anyone's noticed. I don't know what's going to happen when it gets a bit sunnier, but as long as we win, I don't care.
Rise, the story of our season. You can watch that now on City Plus alongside a host of incredible documentaries. So we're around about 15 minutes now from kick-off in today's Premier League game as City take on Arsenal at the Emirates. If you're just joining us, a very big welcome. You can see your starting 11 for today on the screen. It is Edison, Walker, Diaz, Ake, Gvardiol, Kovacic, Lewis, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland. So that is the starting 11 for today's game. With less than 15 minutes to go now, David, how are you feeling? What sort of game are you expecting?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, I think the key thing, and as Kev has alluded to already, I mean, Saka not being in it is massive. I think Pep will have a plan. I think Erling Haaland is going to deliver, be a little bit less frustrated with himself, as he has shown and you get it for his qualities. But I feel confident that this is going to be a good day. I just don't know how they're going to do it, as in what style. But there will be a style, which is a correct style to win. Whatever, if it's long, direct possession. Interesting, Man City keep more possession than anyone else in the world of football.
Yeah.
Ridiculously.
Death by 1,000 passes, I hear City fans call it.
Something like that. But if you go home with 3 trophies and then start the season with another trophy, then it works.
Absolutely. That's all that matters to me. Kev, what's your heart saying? What sort of game are you expecting?
Well, again, my heart and my head are telling me different things. My heart says Arsenal. I want Arsenal to win the game. Saka not being there, I think, limits Arsenal big time. And if you give me the draw now, I'll take it. Honestly, I would take it. I really would. I just think Manchester City, they've got the know-how. They know their way around. I think it's going to be a tough time for Arsenal if they don't. Arsenal have to play well to get anything. If they don't play well, I think City will win.
Wow. Paul?
Yeah, and I'm just looking forward to how they're going to set up in both teams as well. You know, as talking about Bernardo, is he going to play wide? Is he going to play in the middle? Is Ake going to play centre half, or is Guardiola going to play left back, and vice versa? Is Jorginho, Declan Rice, how's that going to work? You know, Trossard coming in as well. Jesus and Ketia, how they three going to work with it as well. So super looking forward to it. But I look at the quality that are in both teams, and I think that Manchester City do edge it. And you know, like David said before, Erling, you know, and he's struggling into his top Premier League goal scorer, and people think he's struggling with 8 goals already, but he has missed a few chances, but I can see him getting a couple today.
By the way, Kevin, and then anyone that didn't know, there was 3 other Premier League games that kicked off this afternoon. All 3 of them ended in draws, which means that as it stands, if City and Arsenal did draw, Kev, as you would take right now, it would mean Spurs stayed top of the league.
That's all right. I don't mind that.
No,
it's early. It's still early. Don't worry about all that. It's early doors for that. You know, give them their little bit of flowers now. I don't mind that.
Yes, it would only be 8 games in, so yes.
They can win the league in October if they want.
Okay.
Can I say that?
Yes.
It does not make walking around the supermarket on a Saturday night fun when there's Tottenham fans walking around and other teams wearing red who had late comebacks. Their fans walking around like they're the best teams in the world. So having Tottenham at top of the league is not good, Kev, not even in October.
Yes. No, I'm just saying, if it finished a draw, I've got no worries. I've got no worries. Early doors.
Thank you very much. Right, we're going to head back over to the Emirates now, about 10 minutes away from kick-off. Let's get the final thoughts from FG and Big Steve.
Yes, welcome back to Bitside here at Arsenal. Big Steve, final thoughts. The players are behind us. You might be able to see the goalkeepers in the background. The atmosphere's building. We just went into the away end. City fans are always in good voice, aren't they?
Yeah, the away end's in good voice. I think the atmosphere is starting to build nice. You can see the players warming up now. Yeah, it's got that big match day feel about it. And I can't wait, mate.
So let's talk about final thoughts then. How do you see the game going? How do you see it in the opening stages? Colo said earlier on in the show it's going to be tactical. You've got to agree with him. It's going to be a tactical, tight affair, isn't it?
I think it is going to be tactical. The City lineup is very strong. We spoke about Rico Lewis. We spoke about Kovacic. I think they've got important roles to play today. And listen, the Arsenal team, there's a few surprises in there. I think it's Pep v Arteta. It's tactical. But I think Manchester City will win it today.
Let's touch again about our homegrown players. You can see them in the background there warming up. Rico Lewis, Phil Foden. Massive day, especially for Rico. Phil's done it before. He's won numerous Premier League titles, more than a lot of players that do in their whole career. They'll be really, really desperate, won't they, to stamp an authority on a game like this?
Yeah, I think Foden especially started the season really bright. He's got to make a name for himself today here. This is a Phil Foden kind of game where we need somebody to grab this game by the scruff of the neck and dominate it, and Phil Foden, we're looking at him today to do that. And Rico, we spoke about him before, we're looking for another Leipzig kind of performance, popping up in the middle, between the lines, and just generally keeping busy and keeping Manchester City ticking over.
And obviously we spoke about the atmosphere in the city, and the atmosphere in the stadium as a whole is actually quite impressive. It's going to be loud, the fans are going to be, fully behind Arsenal as expected, it's completely sold out. How important is it to manage the game in situations like that when trying to avoid the crowd from making noise and trying to just control everything?
Yeah, I think the crowd's up for it. I think they're going to get behind the team, and we've got to silence the crowd. We've got to make sure we don't do anything stupid early door, and if we can get that first goal, I do believe that this crowd might quiet a bit, and then that Manchester City end will be up and bouncing, and hopefully get our boys over the line.
I heard a couple of jokes before that our season doesn't start until normally the end of the back end of the season. This is an important game for both sides, of course, but if it did go in Arsenal's favour, it's more of a morale boost, whereas we're used to being in positions where we're normally clawing the gap back, aren't we, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Manchester City's been in this situation a number of times. We don't panic. We know that our boys get that rhythm near the end of the season, and rhythm's so important. But I think we're coming here to win, and I think we're going to do it today.
Look, the atmosphere's building. We're getting closer towards kick-off. We'll be back post-match, but right now, where are we off to? We're off to the away end.
We're off to the away end.
So we'll see you there. See you guys.
They're off to the away end, thanks to FG and to Big Steve at pitchside in the Emirates today. They were talking about the atmosphere there, Kevin, and I know Mikel mentioned the atmosphere. He feels like it's much better right now in the ground as well. How much is the Arsenal fans going to play into the game today, do you think?
I think it's crucial, especially no Saka. The fans have to be right behind the team, and we've heard it before. The fans are the 12th man. They are. If they get behind the team like they have done, can make life difficult for Man City. I know Man City's been through every trial and tribulation, but at the Emirates, you know, with Arsenal fans behind them, it does give the team another yard. So that's what they're going to need to do today.
Yeah, we know that certainly from the atmosphere here for the last season or so. Hugely played into it. Right, let's get some predictions from you, gents. Mr. Dickov?
I can see it going the same way as it did last season, so I'm going to go 3-1.
Oh, 3-1, okay. Kevin?
I said draw, didn't I? So,
okay.
I would love 2-1 Arsenal, but I'm going 1-1.
1-1, okay.
Quick one, stats. Arsenal haven't scored in the first 15 minutes. City don't score in the 15th to 30th minute. City haven't been leading in most of the games this season. 3-0 City.
Do you really think that? 3-0?
Yeah. If I believe City are as good as they are,
without Rodri, without Kevin De Bruyne,
with as good as they are, and the flaws that Arsenal have defensively,
he likes Raya in goal. Don't forget.
Yeah, good point. Yes.
If Ramsdale was in goal, I would say, "Oh, this is going to be a tight affair." And do I sound like an English goalkeeping fan? I'm confident City can win this 3-0.
You're not the most confident in the room today, Paul. How strange.
It's a first, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll take 3-0 as well, though.
Oh, right, great, yes.
Yeah.
We'll all take 3-0.
3 points.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes, I really hope it ends up that way. I don't know why, I just feel a little bit more nervous, just because I think I just love Rodri so much. But of course, we've got a great track record, so hopefully that you will all prove me wrong. Thank you so much, David. Kevin, thank you so much again for being here. Thank you, Paul, as well. We will all, of course, be back at half-time and then at full-time as well. And FG and Big Steve will be pitchside full-time as well. You get your commentary now on the Manchester City app with Alistair Mann and with Michael Brown. Okay, Blues, enjoy the game. Let's do this.
Thank you, Natalie. So the best two teams in the Premier League last season now meet for the first time here at the Emirates Stadium, as Arsenal are very much playing host to the defending champions. For most of the last campaign, it was City playing catch-up as the young pretenders